They're committed to their team members and their customers. And that means treating your vehicle like it's their own and finding solutions that suit your needs. Because whatever the road brings ahead, they're on it with you. Visit fountaintire.com today.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is serious about cooling. In fact, we offer multiple ways to cool your home. So you better
call Legacy. Call Legacy.
If you're looking for traditional air conditioning, we got you.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
Or ask us about a heat pump to help you heat and cool.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
Cool with AC or cool with a heat pump. Cool your home with Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Who went where? How much did they get? And who isn't going anywhere? Get every up to the second update on free Agent Day coverage with Lowetide. July 1st from 10 till 1 here on Sports 1440, powered by Booster Juice, because we're gonna need it.
Welcome to the Lowdown. There's not a cloud to hide behind today. Oh, it's so good. What a beautiful summer day in Edmonton. On the show today, McDavid speaks and wants Mike Babcock to push the team. Well, he's in luck. Is this the key to Stanley? Really? Okay. Plus, wild times at the World Cup. Elks 2-0, looking to build on it. It's going to be a wonderful show today. Our headliners of the day at 1 o'clock today. We have Bagnell from Waters Nation at 1:20. It's Jeff Hamilton from the Winnipeg Free Press. Yeah, we're going to have fun. Lowdown Lowetide brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick on Sports 1440 and YouTube. Wolf GMC Buick, get 0% financing for up to 72 months on select new 2026 Sierra 1500 models. Visit wolfgmcbuick.com. We're also on sports1440.ca, iHeartRadio, Radio Player Canada, and we love that you tune in. You can also tune in when you're going for the walk later in the day with the doggo. We're on Apple and Spotify podcasts, and we tweet it out on X as well. We're on Twitter right now at Lowetide, at Declan Krueger, J Fenwick 04, and you can text or call anytime, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Busy day. McDavid wants to be pushed. Nurse trade talk. Is he not going? What do the Oilers need? NBA trades, lickety split. My goodness, famous names going everywhere. Jays they're good until the bullpen comes. And, of course, the Elks play tonight against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. We're going to talk about that. Can they go 3-0? Oh, my. We'll talk to our inside expert here, Declan Krueger, in two shakes. But first, it's time for our introductions. He is still coming down from the last 20 minutes of Canada-Switzerland at the World Cup yesterday. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Josh Fenwick. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Wow. That last 20 minutes was pretty wild. Of the Canada
World
Cup game,
it was.
which I was just talking about as I introduced you.
Yeah, I don't know. There's not a thought behind these eyes right now.
Our show,
not a thought behind the eyes. Yeah, it was crazy. I had just gotten home in time for the Promise David goal, and that's really, I guess, when Canada turned it on in the game, because sort of paying attention here in the studio for the first half.
But you're not really, right? You don't know the flow.
There's something about being able to hear the sound when it's and the commentary when it's a game you know nothing about. So I had a lot of fun watching it. I was up and down off the couch in the stoppage time and everything. I was dialed.
Well, it's good to have you here, or as much of you as we can get.
Just my eyes, not the thoughts behind them.
There you go. The Elks lost their long snapper, and since he found out, he's been throwing footballs backwards between his legs, upside down. He's kind of dizzy, but he's getting better. Ladies and gentlemen, Declan Krueger. Declan Krueger, everybody. You would totally do that. If they said to you,
actually,
we're going to hire you. You got to practice for 2 weeks. We're putting you in. You'd go.
Oh yeah, of course. Actually, our long snapper got hurt during my senior season, and they had me taking a couple reps in practice. Couldn't quite get because you have to hold the ball a certain way.
Yes.
Like couldn't quite get that down, so they went with
It's kind of
my
like
good friend Liam Maxwell.
it's kind of almost like straight up at the beginning, right? Like the way you hold it.
Yes. Yeah. It's like I don't really know a lot about rugby, but it seems something
There
that's
you
very
go.
rugby-esque.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I think you've got it there. And kind of a cool little, way to start the show with some obscure CFL rules that you kind of know, but it's good to be reminded of. All right, the big news of the last 24 hours, I think, is Connor McDavid, talking about wanting Mike Babcock to push this group, not just the leadership group, but everybody. I'm interested, but I also think that the coach is he can help, and sometimes there is a little bit of inspiration and take charge and maybe a different attitude and, oh my God, I better show up in shape, and those things are all true. But the bottom line here is the talent has to be there, and not all the talent that will be here in October is on the roster yet. And that means that the general manager, Stan Bowman, has a lot of work to do. I'm also interested in people seem to be, I don't know if blaming Connor McDavid is fair, but they seem to be giving Connor McDavid a lot of authorship of the hiring of Mike Babcock. And I don't know where you want to put it. My suspicion is that this is kind of a Daryl Cates kind of a move, and Stan Bowman is adjusting on the fly, and maybe that's where we are. That's my opinion. Now, maybe Connor McDavid said, "Look, this is it. We're doing this," but I just don't think that's the way it would have gone down. Now, he absolutely sounds like he endorsed it based on everything we've been told and yesterday in his conversations. So, yeah. But I don't know that, like, if this goes sideways, are you going to blame Connor McDavid? Is this where the moment where there's enough of a ill will towards Connor McDavid that Oilers fans finally turn on him? I'd be shocked, but I think he's convinced that this is the right way, and he's a hockey player who's been frustrated by 11 years of not winning. So, it's good that he's adopting this idea. I don't know that it was his idea, is what I'm saying. You guys have any thoughts on that about Connor McDavid and his very positive thoughts on Mike Babcock? I know one friend of mine said he threw Chris Knobloch under the bus, and I said what he did was he threw the entire last number of years under the bus when he said it's been a long time since we had this. So that could go back all the way to, I guess, Todd McClellan. I don't know. But any thoughts on the idea that McDavid was somehow not inappropriate, but misstep a little bit in terms of what he said about the coaching of the past? And it seems as though the ringing endorsement, now that it's, come from Connor McDavid, seems to have landed not quite right for a lot of fans. Do you see what they're complaining about, or do you agree with what they're upset about?
Well, I think, like, if things go south, he'll certainly receive some blame, because I think one thing that kind of is an umbrella over this whole thing is Oiler fans really put Connor McDavid on a pedestal, and they really believe him to be kind of this altruistic, like, chosen one here in the city, and obviously a phenomenal player. It's understandable. But I think sometimes they can't wrap their heads around the fact that this guy who they view as altruistic and they've put on a pedestal would want to have a coach like Mike Babcock. Like, they've made it up in their minds that this just isn't his personality, when really there's nothing to suggest that it isn't. And like you said, quite frankly, he's just hungry to win. And if he feel like that is all that matters to him at this point. If
Right.
he has a 60-point season, but he plays a 200-foot game and is in Selke conversations, he will not care, because all he wants to do is win. And if he feels like this is the best way to make it happen, he's going to be on board with that.
Yeah, I think if you said to him, spend 2 minutes in this, cage with a lion and you'll win a Stanley Cup, he'd probably do that too.
He'd spend 4.
Right. I mean, everything about him, based on what we know, this is a fellow who lives and breathes hockey and wants to win the Stanley Cup and wants to win it with this group. I think that kind of gets lost when folks will say things like, well, this is it now. This is the last two. We don't know. You don't know what Connor McDavid's thinking. Doesn't work with Babcock. That's it. Somebody said yesterday, well, now that he's chosen Babcock, if it doesn't work, he can't leave. We're just writing scripts for Connor McDavid that we have no idea if they're right or wrong.
I promise you he can leave if it doesn't work like that.
He can do whatever he wants. It's called free will.
Right. So maybe we should just, tap the brakes on what all these moves mean and whether Connor McDavid authored them and discuss the idea of Mike Babcock as a coach of the Edmonton Oilers, which is controversial because he hasn't coached in some time. The last time the Oilers had a coach come back after a long layoff was Pat Quinn, and it did not go well. So there's that. Are you still happy about your Calgary Flames trade, or have you moved on from the first blush euphoria that you had the other day?
I'm still happy with it. I think, it's June. Everyone can calm down a little bit on, how is this going to affect whatever? There's still 3 months until the season starts. I'm not going to get too heady. I can still hate Ryan Huska as much as I want, or think he's not a good coach. Hate's a strong word.
He always speaks well of you.
On the topic of speaking well of coaches, to go back to the last conversation, essentially, I think it's hard to. I don't think he was intentionally putting his coaches down. I mean, he sort of was, but he's also just propping up his new coach. Like it's.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. It's everybody expects that these are, politicians, that they parse every word and have somebody review it 16 or 17 times and then send it back, and then it gets refined a little bit. And then, by the way, the politician goes up there and says whatever the hell they want. So it doesn't really do any good. But that's not the case with hockey players. They're just emotional folks who want to win the Stanley Cup and have fun with their buddies and win the Stanley Cup. That's it. That's the bottom line. Now, CFL, Edmonton Elks 2-0, 1-1 for Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Declan, this is a game featuring two quarterbacks over 65 years old.
Yes, as you mentioned before the show, both collecting their pension, which is very cool. Zach Collaros is I just think he is so far removed from what he's been when he was winning MOPs of the CFL and, competing for Grey Cups every year. Granted, that was only a couple of years ago, but it's a sport that catches up with you quick. Their offense was always Brady Oliveira was so good because Zach Collaros could be so good. And then just he's a very good running back, don't get me wrong, but by extension, things opened up for him. I feel like there's a bit more of a tendency to lean on him now in their offensive game, although Zach Collaros has played well and their offensive line is very stout. This is what I'll say. It's such a spot for the Edmonton Elks that you lose this game. You started the season 2-0. You have a short week this week, 5-day week. Winnipeg's coming off a bye, and you're going to play in the toughest environment in the CFL. You're probably not going to go 18-0. That's really tough to do. If you're circling wins and losses, this is probably one of the ones you say, okay, you know what? Maybe it's a loss here.
Scheduled loss.
Yeah.
I do notice there's it's interesting to see the amount of experience they have over there, specifically on the O-line, but other places as well on the Winnipeg roster. Do you expect Winnipeg to be, a strong contender this year for the Grey Cup?
No, I just think they're so old.
Yeah.
But I've made this comparison on a couple different outlets. This Winnipeg Blue Bombers team is like the 37-year-old heavyweight champion. It's like Larry Holmes. When he was 38, when he had lost the 2 fights to Spinks and then fought Tyson, it's they're still hanging on. There's a lot of report of them from yesteryear that people hang their hats on. And it's hey, Winnipeg, they made all those great cups in a row. They won a bunch, like Mike O'Shea. And it's yeah, the average age of the roster is 47. At some point, things have to catch up with you a little bit.
Dembski's one of their younger players.
Yeah, and they have a leap. Nick Dembski, incredible player. Brady Oliveira, probably the best running back in the CFL. So
wait a minute.
Just based on history again, you got to give him credit because he's done it over a sustained period. But no, I don't think they're a true Grey Cup contender.
Yeah. So the NBA has, how many starters are in the NBA? The first opening night for everybody, how many starters are in the NBA?
Well, 150.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So there's 150 starters. And in an off season, how many get traded?
On average?
Would you say?
If we're talking the higher,
just traded or free agent?
No, it has to be. He just said traded.
Just traded, yeah.
Of the higher end starters,
just starters,
not often, but like,
Of all starters, I would say it's probably like 30.
yeah,
Okay.
that's probably fair.
So are we on, because we're just starting and we've had like, I guess maybe it's just this famousness of what's happening, but like, is the NBA, let me rephrase, is the NBA a trade or a free agent league? I always thought it was a free agent league.
With the way things are going right now, I'd probably say it's a trade league.
I think it was a free agent league and now it's being a trade league, and I don't know why, and that's what I wanted to drill down on.
I would actually say it's both.
You can't be both, though. You got to choose one or the other.
Then I would say trade.
Yeah.
Okay, so is it different this year? Are we seeing like, because in the NHL we're seeing some people being traded that I didn't think would be traded, and like Washington just acquired two of the best wingers out there. Like there's some strange stuff happening in the NHL, and we saw the big NBA trade that the Heat, changed their culture and their, expectations. Or is it too early to tell? Is this just usually business as usual, but a big name went early?
Well, two big names.
Yeah, I know.
Today, like that LaMelo Ball getting traded.
The reports of that yesterday coming out during the draft, I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Like, totally out of left field. I didn't think the Hornets would be doing anything like that. I think it also officially ends this new Hornets-Pistons rivalry that we thought maybe we'd be getting because Isaiah Stewart got traded to the Grizzlies. And then now also Kawhi Leonard is on the trading block. Sportsnet reporting that Kawhi and the Raptors have mutual interest in a reunion, which
wow,
bring him over. I'm prepared to get hurt again.
This sounds like a romance.
Yeah, well, he brought a ring to Toronto for all I care. Like, you can do no wrong. It's just it is a trade league. It's just the way it is with the player empowerment and everything.
I'm going whether you like it or not, kind of thing.
Yeah. It's I'll wear a fat suit under my warm-ups.
But just really quick, like this wasn't LaMelo's choice to leave.
No, this was not LaMelo's choice.
Ordinarily, this is where I spend a few moments talking about the Blue Jays bullpen, but I'd like to talk about Jose Soriano.
Oh boy,
what's going on with him lately?
Great
April.
Yeah, great April. Had a good May too. It's like the curse of the Angels or something. I'm not totally sure.
Is it just hard to pitch for a crappy team? Is that it?
I think it's hard to pitch when you're Jose Soriano because like you give 7 innings of like great baseball, and then like your bullpen comes in for the last 2, and you're up 7 runs, and you end up losing somehow. Like
no,
it's just got to be debilitating to the point of like, why am I giving my best stuff if these guys aren't going to give if their best stuff still results in us losing?
Yeah,
what's the point?
The Angels are the kind of the team that signs Larry Longball even though he's a pitcher. Their bullpen is the least famous thing I've ever seen in the major leagues.
It is the worst bullpen in baseball. Let us be clear.
They had a reliever. They made it into a starter, Jack Kanichewicz. I'm not sure if that's the name. And then now he's got, I think, Tommy John. But he was never a good starter. Like, he was never a good reliever. He went to the starting rotation, had a couple of good outings, and then he got hurt. Like, he survived on that team for like 2.5 years without being any good.
Do we have the Rays game on TV, Declan? There's something historic that is possibly happening right now. Guess not. Well, that's disappointing. They're all running the Astros game from yesterday. I can't say what it is.
Is this 3 home runs for Junior Caminero?
I can double check that. I don't believe he's gotten 3. This is more of a defense type thing.
Oh no, is there a bad? It's a no?
Shh! You can't speak about that.
I didn't say the word.
I know, but yes, that is.
Is it a complete game? No.
I'm about to look at.
This is the worst radio ever. We can't say what it is, but we don't know the starter. We don't know if it's a complete.
Don't worry, I'll be right there. Live through 8 innings. The pitcher is. Oh no, this is the top of the 9th now. Oh boy. Oh my God! Now the ads are coming up. I just want to know so bad.
Okay, well, something major is happening. And it's
not a complete game. It was a starting. They had a. Oh man, it's basically a bullpen game.
Okay.
They had a. What's the word? Eric Lau, an opener. They had an opener.
Casey Luminero. Yeah.
Yeah. Luminero came in, pitched 1 1/3, and then Seymour came in and pitched 6 2/3.
His name isn't Luminero. Okay. This.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not going to be able to say it.
No, me either. So this is not the greatest ending to this segment, but it's going to be a great show. I
Junior
promise.
Caminero 3-run home run game.
That's what I was saying, because I actually did know that part because he's on my fantasy baseball team. So on the way, we have rumors, lots going on, and we'll keep you updated on the Edmonton Oilers. If anything happens anywhere with regard to the Edmonton Oilers, somebody fills up a truck, we're going to tell you if it impacts the Edmonton Oilers in any way, okay? Then at 1 o'clock, it's Bagged Milk in our feature interview, and then Jeff Hamilton from the Winnipeg Free Press at 1:20 today. At 1:40, we have Declinations. What do we have on Declinations, sir?
Declan CFL.
And it's going to be like in-depth. We're talking in-depth coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, look forward to that. It's all straight ahead. This is the Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
Are you looking for safe and reliable transportation solutions for your wedding, corporate retreat, or golf trip? Look no further than Silent Rides, Alberta's premier charter bus company. Whether your group is big or small, Silent Rides has you covered. We offer 3 different sizes of units to cater to your needs, and we provide first-class service at affordable rates. Get your quote today. For more information and to request a quote, contact sales at 877-748-0991 or visit silentrides.ca.
Are you a skilled laborer? All Star Construction wants to talk to you. A heavy equipment operator with trackhoe or backhoe experience, All Star Construction wants to talk to you, too. With work in and around Edmonton for local land developers, All Star Construction offers year-round employment. Whether it's power, gas, or telecom, developers rely on All Star Construction to get the job done. So if you're a skilled laborer or a heavy equipment operator with trackhoe or backhoe experience searching for work, search All Star Construction on Indeed.
From the first pitch to the final out, catch Toronto Blue Jays baseball games live right here. Don't miss a moment of Blue Jays baseball this season. Sports 1440 is proud to be the home of Blue Jays baseball.
Nissan breaking through the defense. Look at the control. What a move. What a finish. Kicks has done it again.
Nissan Kicks is the 2026 Best Buy winner from Consumer Guide Automotive for 5 years in a row. The Score with Nissan event is on, and you can score by financing a 2026 Nissan Kicks S for 0% for 36 months, or get up to $3,000 cash purchase bonus on other Kicks models. Conditions apply. Visit Nissan.ca for details.
Visit your local Edmonton and area Nissan dealer for more information.
It might have been scraped by the snowblower, dented while door crashing, or crunched at the company Christmas party. At some point over the winter, your car was damaged, and it's been hiding under a coat of winter grime.
Then come and see Robertson Body Works. We can take care of the damage and the dirt. This week only, call and book a repair and get a complete auto detailing absolutely free.
But you have to book your appointment before the week is up. Go to robertsonbodyworks.com.
I'm Tim Robertson, and I fix cars.
You need the lowdown? It's with Lowetide right now on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
For Wolf GMC Buick, check them out. They're always available at wolfgmcbuick.com. It is time for Rumors, presented by Harley-Davidson of Edmonton. It's riding season, and Harley-Davidson of Edmonton has your next bike waiting for you. Huge selection of new and pre-owned, plus test rides are available. Locally owned and operated since 1980 on the Yellowhead Trail or at hdedmonton.com. Good people over there. What they're doing, some nice bikes, accessories. If you have somebody in your life who owns a Harley, you want to buy a gift, they've got some great things over there for you. So Edmonton Oilers have not traded Darnell Nurse yet. The big thing everybody's talking about right now is Connor McDavid's ringing endorsement of Mike Babcock and his wish that Babcock pushes this team to new heights. There are some of us who are asking about the actual roster, and Stan Bowman, I'm assuming, is working on that now. It makes sense that they would have to wait for the Darnell Nurse shoe to drop, but there are some interesting players being traded. And, perhaps if they had their ducks in order with the Nurse deal, they could have made a move on some of these. So timing is everything in all things. And the Pittsburgh Penguins took advantage of Washington wanted to drop some cap, and the Penguins picked up Hendrix Lapierre not too terribly long ago from the Washington Capitals. And so it's Kyrou and Tuck to Washington, and now they're kind of making room. McMichael went before, and they just sent away Hendrix Lapierre. Garnet Hathaway, he's a fourth-line guy, but he's pretty effective, and he's been effective for a long time in terms of shot and goal suppression. So, the Panthers are a really smart organization, and this is a smart move, but it's a small, smart move. They had to make a trade. They had to make sure the money was right, and we'll see how it goes. But when you're trying to retain, and it's all about money. AJ Greer moving on. Wonder where he'll go. That'll be an interesting topic of conversation where Greer might go. But it doesn't matter to Florida. The Panthers have already made a move, and they're going to be tough to play against. They are going to hurt players in the final if they get there, and whatever level they get to, they'll be a tough out. There's no doubt about it. Rangers are apparently looking for hoping for a young player in the Vincent Trocheck trade. A lot of these will go down, around the draft. The Oilers, they might have to wait to early July or later, but I don't know that. I know it's out there. Well, maybe Nurse won't get traded. I think you're honestly, if you look at the way the roster is now, there are too many needs for too little money. There's too much month at the end of the money. And so you've got like 7 guys, including a goalie, and you have $7.5 million, something like that. You can't really do that. And you don't want to run right at the cap, and you don't want to run with 19 players like they've done in the past. Well, 21 maybe. So I think that the Oilers have to deal Darnell Nurse or someone else, and we'll see how it goes. Sabres signing Zach Benson to a 7-year extension. Good deal, I think, certainly for the team, and probably the player is pretty happy with it too. I always like when people say things like, I don't know, he signed 7 years for this. Maybe he could have he just set up his family for generations, or at least this one, if he's a big spender. And, if they're offering it to you, take it, because, injuries can end careers, man. Mark Spector reporting. I want to make sure this is right because there's so many fake site people. Yeah, it is. Mark Spector reporting. Connor Ingram bullish on re-signing with Edmonton. No negotiations are ongoing. He says he loved his time here. Babcock doesn't affect his decision. Bowman has goalie irons in a few fires. A lot of options between the pipes. But how many good options are there?
No, Declan killed the no-hitter. He talked about it in the break.
Why did he talk about the no-hitter in the break?
Because he said, I don't know the etiquette. Come on, man. It's like, I feel like it's pretty common knowledge to not talk about a no-no.
And here's the thing. I didn't even talk about it, even though it's the number one thing in sports at this instant, because I didn't want to jinx it.
I know. And it's over now. It's over.
Listen, clearly my bad. Not the biggest baseball guy in the world, as has been documented. I would understand not talking about a perfect game, but a no-hitter.
No, it's the etiquette.
You don't talk about a no-no because it just means that it's gonna end, and you never, ever, ever, even mention the fact that a guy's throwing a perfect game.
So that's like extra. Don't even.
You don't talk to the guy.
You don't talk to the guy.
You don't
alone. You don't send a text that says like, "Oh, turn on the game." Like, Whatever.
You
No.
You don't change your underwear. You don't breathe.
But you can talk to the guy when he's throwing a no-hitter.
No, don't talk to the guy when he's throwing a no-hitter.
Well, but you don't have to talk about the no-hitter. You can say, hey, do you want some gum? Stuff like that. But you can't talk, and you should only be the catcher.
Hold on. So what's the difference in talking about it etiquette between a perfect game and a no-hitter?
I think a
perfect
no-hitter
game is much, much tougher to do.
Well, yeah, but the
so that's why I would think
it's more rare for sure, and it is tougher to do, of course. But they're both like it's verboten. Just leave the guy alone. Do not bring up the no-hitter.
You don't want them getting in their head. They're throwing cheese right now. You don't want to bring up the fact that they're throwing cheese and no one's gotten a bat on the ball all game.
I hate to say that you guys didn't answer my question, but I mean, like, so what's the difference in etiquette between or is it just the same?
It's just the same. Just treat it the same. It's hallowed moment. It's like what would it be? It's like if I'm eating a good steak, I can talk to the steak, but you can't talk to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Nikki Northside texted in. He said, Declan, man, what are you doing? So, okay, clearly this was me on an island. I didn't know.
I thought this was just like you work in sports. I thought this was just like a well-known thing.
But the sports, the realm of sports is so large, and he is a big-time football and basketball guy.
It's true.
Listen, I got most things on lock. So not having baseball, I'll live with it.
But we can't kick him out of the club because he's really valuable about things that are, important.
Yeah, well, I could not talk to you eloquently about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers like he could.
No, exactly. He even knows where Winnipeg is.
And trust me, it's not easy to find on a map.
It's right in the middle of the country.
Map? What's a map?
Oh, come on.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
Shower? Oh, no.
You're still on parole after your performance in the opening segment.
I know. I'm sorry. It was very, very bad radio.
Well,
I'm aware.
It's just that I took an item from your Twitter.
Oh yeah,
and applied it to the intro.
No thought behind my eyes.
And you're like, what? I thought I was watching Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh,
love that movie. BC Oiler, by the way, he said, "Calm down, boys. A no hitter is lame in a bullpen game anyway."
No, that's not true. Because everything's a bullpen game now, so it does have value. It does. I mean, a real no-hitter is very rare. 9 innings, oh my. Very, very rare. All right, so tell me a little bit about this Elks v. The Blue Bombers game. What are you looking for?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy to say through the first 2 weeks that the key to the offensive game plan for Edmonton is that things have to go through Justin Rankin. But the reality is things have to go through Justin Rankin. I know that's an answer anyone could give if they had watched the first 2 games of the season, but where Justin Rankin's real value lies, like obviously his big chunk plays and the ones that make the Sports Center top 10s and the ones where he stopped 3 yards in the backfield and he turns it into a touchdown is tremendous value. It's also probably not something you really want to hang your hat on for 18 games in a season just because bit of a statistical anomaly in a sense. So what his real value comes in getting 5 or 6 yards on first down and setting up second and shorts. I know a lot of people tweet at me. They comment on the Elks Nation stuff. They say, hey, like they got to open up the playbook a little bit more. And my thing has always been this team is built to get a 5-yard gain on first down and throw a short crosser or a hitch route on second down. Keep the offense on the field, get into a rhythm. You're probably outside of Justin Rankin, who can do it. You're probably not going to see too many plays where it's an 80-yard touchdown pass.
Is that because the quarterback can't make that throw?
I think that's definitely part of it.
Right.
And I like Cody a lot. And Cody is a leader and a football guy. But every player has their limitations.
Sure.
And his happens to be the deep ball.
But you can agree that at some level, they're going to find a guy who can, who is nails on the, 35-yard throw and can drop it in there. And that will be Fajardo's replacement eventually.
Yeah, ideally, unless they just keep rolling, unless Justin Rankin has a bunch of tread on the tires and they just keep rolling out the same game plan built around him.
But don't you make it easier for the defense to play against you if you can't make that? Can he make that wide throw across the field anymore? Because it's a long throw.
Yeah, it's not, again, I wouldn't say it's his bread and butter offensively. I wouldn't say that's the play I'm drawing up for him if we need a completion, but he's got a little bit of touch on it. He is very safe Like, he is a safe quarterback. He's
Right.
not Bo Levi. He's not Nathan Rourke.
And when you can get 5 yards on a running play on first down, you can afford to run a quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? After Trey Ford and McLeod Bethel Thompson and Taylor Cornelius, like, I don't mind having a safe, good, steady Grey Cup MOP quarterback.
Right. Whatever happened to McLeod Bethel Thompson?
He just signed with Ottawa.
I know.
Yes,
I know. It's pretty cool. I love the name. I just love the name. Doesn't it sound like the guy who, it's like Unmasked, Charles Emerson Winchester III? Doesn't it sound like he comes from real money?
McLeod Bethel Thompson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. That's actually a funny segue that'll get us completely off topic. What's like the richest, whitest name we can think of?
Oh God.
Because I think
Bartholomew,
Nelson Rockefeller.
Well, that's a good answer. I think Bartholomew von Basten.
okay.
Oh,
Well,
Vons would be good.
Yeah.
If you have a Vaughn in your name, I assume you're coming from royalty, and like there's dowries involved and things of the such.
Or like Smitherson. That's another one. Like,
I don't think Smitherson is a name. It's Smithers, isn't it?
Xavier Smitherson III. Anything with the third on it.
Yeah.
Look, let's be honest here. If you have a name that would have gotten you beat up in school, you're probably well off.
Exactly. Yeah. You sold microchips later in life.
Everybody in my school was Craig and Larry,
Naturally.
Of course they were. You didn't want your child to get, pummeled on the school bus coming home because you'd named him Larynx or something. You wouldn't do that. All right. 12:36. We have I'm looking forward to this show. I have to say, because the hiring day, that was that. And then we had another day that was kind of like that too. Now we can kind of freewheel. We can talk about what you want. So why don't we do that? Why don't you text us? And in the next segment, we'll make it open to you. We'll read your text. 833-401-1440. That's the text line. Make sure you do. Lowdown with Lowetide, brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. Looking for a truck that can handle anything Alberta throws your way? Wolf GMC Buick has the offers to get you behind the wheel. Get 0% financing for up to 72 months on select new 2026 GMC Sierra 1500 models. Plus, trade in an eligible 2015 or newer pickup and receive a $1,000 truck trade-in bonus on select Sierra models. Ask about bonus offers for heroes, students, recent graduates, and more. Visit wolfgmcbuick.com.
Say hello to your new favorite drinks. Introducing new McCafe Refreshers. Icy cool, undeniably refreshing, and available in 3 flavors. Strawberry watermelon, mango pineapple, and blackberry passion fruit. Only at McDonald's.
Sleep is for the off-season. What off-season? Sports 1440 is live, loud, and locked 24/7. Oilers, Elks, Riverhawks, Stingers, Oil Kings. We've got your picks. Edmonton's home for sports is Sports 1440.
The Riverhawks return this weekend for First Responders Firework Friday. Enjoy Country Nights Mechanical Bull on Saturday with Daisy's Saloon. Then Boston Pizza presents baseballs and body slams on Sunday with a real wrestling ring. Fun for the whole family. Tickets at gohawks.ca.
At Fountain Tire, success is a team effort. They're committed to their team members and their customers. And that means treating your vehicle like it's their own and finding solutions that suit your needs. Because whatever the road brings ahead, they're on it with you. Visit fountaintire.com today.
It's like a locker room, minus the smell.
Ew.
Kevin Carius brings the banter, the buzz, and the bold sports talk. Weekday mornings from 7 to 11 on Sports 1440, Edmonton's home for sports.
The perfect place to host your golf tournament or fundraiser, company event, celebration of life, wedding, birthday party, or private party. Cattail Crossing Golf and Winter Club. More than a golf course, a fun, welcoming place with beautiful views, relaxing patios, and a team that truly appreciates each and every guest. Featuring Out of Bounds, Cattail's 5-star kitchen. Some say it's the best clubhouse dining they've ever had. Cattail Crossing Golf and Winter Club. Book your tourney or event today at cattailcrossing.ca.
You don't just need property services, you need problems handled. HireGood provides cleanup, debris removal, site monitoring, and safety attendance across Edmonton. We reduce issues on your property, keep spaces safe, and take pressure off your team. We resolve real problems for businesses while creating real impact. Because our team is built on second chances, and they show up every day ready to prove it. Visit hiregood.ca or call and mention Jason Krueger for a first-time discount. HireGood. Stable jobs create stable lives.
Alberta is growing, but our highways are crumbling. Are you tired of the rough ride? In the last 15 years, our population has grown with hundreds of thousands more cars and trucks on our highways. Today, more than 15% of Alberta's highways are in poor condition. Cutting highway maintenance doesn't save money. It makes repairs more expensive. Don't let the government ignore the problem. Your MLA works for you. Tell them to fix our roads. Visit fixourroads.com for more information.
A message from the Alberta Road Builders and Heavy Construction Association.
3 for the Tillerman is an intimate tribute to the music of Cat Stevens, presented in a warm acoustic setting with rich harmonies and timeless songs. Featuring favorites like Wild World, Father and Son, and Morning Has Broken. This show offers a relaxed, close-up concert experience. Don't miss 3 for the Tillerman, October 21st at the Horowitz Theater. Tickets available now at horowitzevents.ca.
Here's the Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
It's the Lowdown on Sports 1440 for Wolf GMC Buick. Check them out anytime, wolfgmcbuick.com. CFL tonight, there has not been a lame game yet, and most of them are absolute fire in the Canadian Football League. Another form of football, World Cup, South Africa v. Canada, the round of 32 on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Declan, you're like, no matter what happens, you're a winner.
I can't lose.
Yep.
That is the unbelievable break for me. That is the Declan can't lose game.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that, this was what I was hoping would happen. I was hoping they would get to the round of 32. Like, historically, this is massive.
Well, they have a real good chance to make it to the round of 16. Like, they
would be crazy.
I would think are a better team than South Africa. They're certainly higher in world rankings. But South Africa, like, very impressive win against South Korea. Not a lot of people saw that coming. So we'll see.
Well, and that's it's not like they've been there a lot, but like Canada, now it's an opportunity to really make an impact. BC Oiler Tide, that might be the worst take you've ever had. The thing that makes the no hitter so impressive is the stamina required to complete 9 innings without being hit. But the world is a different place. The manager's not going to let you throw more than like 105 pitches. Like, once you get to 90, there's somebody up in the bullpen, even in a no hitter. And if you're starting the 9th inning with like 92 pitches, they're going to give you're going to give up a hit before you, or you're going to have the no hitter. But it's not like the olden days where they'd throw 150 if they needed to get a no hitter.
This is in the analytical world we live in baseball. It's just how it is.
Yeah, it is frustrating, I have to say, to watch a game where you're like, God, this guy's a no hitter through 7, but he's at 94 pitches. Will he come out? No.
And it's really hard to throw a Maddox, seeing as how it's called a Maddox, and Greg Maddox did it all the time. Like
the one Mizorowski did the other day was unbelievable.
Probably the greatest pitching performance ever.
Incredible. Just incredible.
To still be throwing well over 100 miles an hour.
It was like 106 and then 104 at the end. He was just nuts.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Truly
Makes Brewers
incredible.
baseball worth watching.
Yeah, it really does. Any truth to the rumor you guys are moving to the morning show, Lowetide? Yes. I get up at 5:30. I could do it, but I'll tell you a story. I was the station that I worked for. Wonderful people, loved them all, still love them all. It shut down, went dark. And so I was like, I'd worked there a long time. I had a really good package. I will never, ever complain about any of the things that occurred to me there. I dealt with just the best of the best. And so for lots of reasons, it was good for me from a mental health point of view to leave that building. It had nothing to do with the company. It had everything to do with my personal experience. So I was done with radio. I was still, writing for The Athletic and hoping that I could continue to write for The Athletic. But I was not, my next plan was to, I've worked in sales in my life. A person of a certain age has done a few things. I'm no damn good with a hammer, but, I could do PA announcing, bingos, stuff like that. And Krueger called me. So Krueger calls me and he says, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to work, a couple hours, this. He said, done. Our negotiation took approximately 40 seconds. So when that happened, I made myself a deal. And the deal was, that's it. I'm not, Krueger calls me, wants to do something else. Absolutely. But I'm here. So I'm here noon to 2 until further notice. And I love the shift. I have to tell you, it's a great shift to work. I work with two of the really good young broadcasters in the industry. And I get to come in here and talk about whatever I want, basically. Like, that's a pretty good gig. And my last show, I'm just going to play a bunch of top 40 songs, but I'm hoping that it's a ways away. I'd like to be around until the Oilers win a Stanley Cup. And that's why Connor and I are so hopeful that Mike Babcock can get that done. And you guys are too, no doubt.
Enjoy the wait, pal.
If Calgary wins before the Oilers do,
I'll retire.
That's unfair. So that's your answer. No, there's no plan. I'm sorry, but I believe we have nothing to do with what is happening in games from Big G. Well, Big G. I'm sorry.
Live your life with some whimsy, man. Come on.
William Astor Vanderbilt III. Charles Emerson Winchester III.
Winchester's a good pull.
Yeah, it is.
That is a good name.
I mentioned it in the previous segment.
Because then people would call you Winnie, and you know that they're calling you Winnie because your name's Winchester.
It's a character from MASH. I mentioned it last segment.
Well, nobody listens to you, as evidenced by my intro.
Is this thing working? Oh my God. Anyway. Is there drama on the Canadian team? I heard Davies and Laren are not getting along. Well, Laren's scoring and Davies isn't playing. So if they're having a tete-a-tete, it's not impacting anything. Lowetide, you're the only reason I listen to this radio station. I will read that every time anybody sends it in. Triple C in a truck, thank you. Then KK became a great part of what you guys are great on, mental health and the Boys Girls Club on the radio. Well, we try to do good. And actually, we mention it every once in a while, Krueger will say, but there's a massive amount of work and money that goes to youth and charitable organizations as part of what we do here. And Stingray a part of that as well. So lots to be proud of here, and I certainly am proud to be part of it. Change could be good as a break, Lowetide. Garrett, listen to you. It's funny how many people are guessing who the new host is going to be, and they're all wrong.
Yeah.
No, someone guessed me.
Declan,
You'd be an
you
excellent
have to
host.
wait for the announcement.
But honestly, the best time for you to host, and I'm not even lying, would be like
3 a.m. to 4 a.m.
Well, no, I was thinking about like 9 to midnight because you have you could be a little wild when it's later in the evening, and you would have a massive following within weeks.
See, I appreciate that greatly because I actually do agree that I think I get a little bit more off the rails sometimes, just with some of the things I say and kind of the analogies and jokes I make. And I do think like 9 to midnight would suit that well.
See, I think you could play it straight up and do really well, but I think that the heart of you and the appeal of you is if you were just like, okay, now we're going to talk about checkers. And then you would just do that.
And I would do it with passion.
Sure. And that's the key. But you could absolutely do a straight up show. But you without any guardrails would be interesting and dangerous.
Yeah, like I'd get fired. And the next thing you know, you'd see me on like Rumble News or whatever that thing's called.
Yeah. Fire X Corey says heavy early. There's a WKRP reference. Has anyone guessed Andrew Walker? I did early, and that's all I'm saying. Walker is a hell of a broadcaster.
He's good at what he does.
I love listening to Andrew Walker.
Yeah, no, he's top drawer. All right.
This was a great segment of us just patting each other.
This is where you are just disgusted by all of us and say so.
This segment was like bros being dudes in this segment.
Well, it all got started with the, most unusual name that would get you, pounded senseless in school. Charles Emerson Winchester III, and anything fancy like that, you'd pay a price, I think. And then we got into God knows what.
Rod got you with a bullet here. He said it's a great shift, but you never get breaking news.
Thanks, Rod. You're right. It's I had the 10 to noon, and they moved the waivers because they were afraid I was going to get something. That was Dave Jameson and Gary Bettman, good personal friends of each other, who carried that one out. It's unbelievable. I'm going to ask you this. We're going to talk about it a little bit at 1:00 with Bagged Milk, but we got a couple of minutes. One of the questions I'm going to ask him is this: name the single player on the current roster will benefit the most from Mike Babcock. Did
we do this already?
No. I asked it. No, we may have done it before Babcock was named, but not now. Not it's real now.
Riveting radio here.
It's kind of low-hanging fruit, but
if you say Charles Emerson Winchester III, I'm going to go.
I think Zach Hyman will thrive under him.
You know what? We totally did this before because you said Hyman, and then I stole Al's answer because I'm going to stay with the same one, Leon Draisaitl.
That was before Babcock was named.
Yes, I know.
So you are actively working against this program today, sir. Actively.
Leon Draisaitl, that's my answer.
I just said they were the finest two young broadcasters in the city, and this is the thanks I get.
Taking both your answers?
No, I think I've thought about it. I'm writing about it right now. It'll be out tomorrow. I do have a name in mind. And now, since you guys didn't play, I'm not going to tell you.
We did play. He said Hyman. I said Lowetide.
Lowetide's
I said Leon Draisaitl.
Rerunning different questions. Wow. Ooh, I can't even pay attention, but this I heard. Jeez.
I have a lot of love for Trent Frederick being the biggest benefactor of Mike Babcock.
Well, I think he will be. I think he will be one.
He better be because it can't get much worse.
Look, he and Colton Dock had that fourth line humming, and then Knobloch put him away for the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's not Frederick's fault. And Frederick was finally healthy. I told you guys. I told you. He wasn't skating well. And NHL Edge finally got to the point where he was a little bit above average, and he played well.
He had 7 points in 74 games.
What did I just say? He wasn't skating well.
Yeah, I know, but
And Knobloch didn't just shelve them for the playoffs. He'd let them play together in game one and then was like, no, all right, clearly this isn't working. They won the game, and that was their best line.
You know?
Anyways,
just one
I digress.
Want to end this hour by just rerunning in my own mind. Hey, guys, who do you think's going to benefit the most from Mike Babcock? We already did this. I had just called them two of the finest young broadcasters in the city. I already did it.
Lowetide, I think you broke the Jeff Skinner signing.
I actually think I did. Maybe that's why I don't get any more breaking news. All right, that's it. I've had it with a bunch of you. It's 12:54, but we're taking a break anyway. I simply don't care at this point in time. On the way, bagged milk from Oilers Nation. I'm going to ask him that damn question. And if he says, I think you already asked me that, I'm leaving. Jeff Hamilton from Winnipeg Free Press at 1:20. And we have Declanations talking CFL at 1:40. This is the Lowdown with Lowetide, brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. It's time for an update with Declan Krueger.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Brought to you by Elks Nation. For the best Elks coverage year-round with podcasts and articles, go to elksnation.ca. We got player interviews, we got game analysis, we got plenty more. It's the best green gold coverage online. You can listen at elksnation.ca. FIFA World Cup will get going at 2 o'clock today with Curacao and the Ivory Coast, Ecuador and Germany at the same time, Japan and Sweden, Tunisia and the Netherlands at 5, and Paraguay, Australia, and Turkey and the United States at 8. In the MLB tonight, the Pirates, this afternoon, I should say, the Pirates at the Mariners 3-1 in the middle of the 8th. In about 50 minutes, we'll see the A's and the Giants. Then at 5:07, the Rangers in Toronto to take on the Blue Jays. 5:07 first pitch, which you can hear on Sports 1440 AM feed only following the conclusion of the Jason Greger Show. Kevin Gosman on the bump in that one. And some news around the sporting world is the Capitals have traded Lapierre to the Penguins after adding Kyrou and Tuck, and the Panthers have acquired Hathaway from the Flyers for 2 draft picks. I'm Declan Krueger. This is the Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray radio station. CHJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
When your project can't afford downtime, call Japa Equipment Rentals. From excavators and wheel loaders to compaction equipment, Japa has the machines you need. Trusted since 1972. Visit japaequipment.com or stop our Edmonton or Calgary locations.
Getting your vehicle sparkling clean doesn't have to cost a fortune. Take it into Hughes today and pay just loonies a wash.
Find us at hughescarwash.com.
With Play Alberta, backing the home team goes beyond the bets. That's because your picks have provincial impact. Play Alberta is the only app in the province that puts all revenue directly back into supporting programs and services that Albertans rely on every day. By investing in the General Revenue Fund, every play, bet, and buy made on Play Alberta helps make a difference across the province. Visit playalberta.ca/Gregor to learn more. That's playalberta.ca/Gregor. Must be 18 plus to play. If you gamble, use your game sense.
Good to go. With Mortgages to Go, you'll be good to go. Mortgagestogo.ca says yes when the banks say no. That's why Alberta has trusted Mortgages to Go for over 23 years. If you need cash and have equity in your home, you're approved instantly, guaranteed. Call 1-888-888-5998. That's 1-888-888-5998. With Mortgages to Go, you'll say, good to go.
Ready to upgrade your ride this spring? Come on down to the Golf Cart People. They're a family-owned and operated business that's been serving the community since '97. Whether you're looking for a brand new or quality pre-owned cart, a rental for a special event, they do that too. The Golf Cart People have a huge selection of parts and accessories, and their expert service team is here to keep you rolling. The Golf Cart People, your one-stop shop for everything golf cart. Visit golfcartpeople.com.
Alberta. We're wild and tough and beautiful. We agree that good enough isn't good enough. And though everything that matters starts with a home and a family. At Lux, our family has been handcrafting windows and doors for this incredible place for over half a century. And there's no place we'd rather be. Everything we are is windows and doors. A company born and bred and made in Alberta.
The Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440. Author, musical connoisseur, sports know-it-all. Yes, a man for all seasons.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
This is the Lowdown on Sports 1440, brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. Trade in an eligible pickup and receive a $1,000 truck trade-in bonus. On select Sierra models, visit wolfgmcbuick.com. We're just ahead of our friend Bag Milk. Did you guys see the Miami Marlins dog that ate a hot dog, and there was a dog behind the dog that ate a hot dog? And now the Marlins are looking for the other dog so they can show that dog a good time. Do you know all this? Yeah. It's pretty well. I mean, it's not a no-hitter, but I think it's pretty cool.
It's a children's riddle is what it is.
You could write, Zach Hyman could write a book and I would buy it. There's no doubt about that.
He does write books.
I understand that, but he could write another one. Lowdown with Lowetide as my cohorts actively work against the success of the show. They've been doing it effectively for about an hour and a bit now. It is time for the headliner of the day, Bagged Milk from Oilers Nations, brought to you by Faber. Debt holding you back? Let Faber's licensed insolvency trustees help you tackle your debt. Book your free consultation at faber.ca or call 1-877-944-1177. That's 1-877-944-1177. 1177. All right, Bag Milk, how are you?
I'm doing well. A lot's happened since we spoke last week.
And we kind of knew it was going to, and still living through it. It was pretty wild. That Mike Babcock media avail might be the most entertaining thing we've seen around the Oilers in over a year.
It was spicy. It was interesting. It was confusing. I thought the media did their job well. I thought they asked the questions that a lot of the fan base was wondering about. The answers, well, you can take them as they will. But what I know, Al, is if you're not 100% in on Bagged Milk, I'm not here to do radio appearances for you anymore. So
I like that.
It was a new day. It was definitely a new day with a very different tone underneath it.
Well, we got spoiled by Craig McTavish, who was a truly entertaining individual in front of a microphone. And then we went through some long years, and then we landed on Ken Holland, who had this ability to list off 3 NHL seasons in a row, 2021, 21, 22, 22, 23, 23, 24. And in his own mind, it made sense. But after a while, it became mind-numbing, and you began to search for what was happening. Babcock was a lot of people didn't like his answers. A lot of people didn't like that he was deflecting, but he was compelling. And as a media avail, as theater, it was fascinating to me.
Oh, 100%. You park my Oilers fandom and yours and everyone else's. And if you can just kind of pin that for a moment and look at the context of what we watched, that wasn't just an Edmonton Oilers press conference to me. That was an NHL press conference to me, because it was one of the biggest stories in the league. All eyes were on Edmonton that day. And I think that it was a big day in Edmonton, and it was kind of a big tell, to me at least, about where the organization is at. If they're willing to push to bring in the nuclear deterrent to try and get this thing on the rails. And I know, I'm imagining we'll probably talk about the players' comments after, but this is a different day. This is one of those things. And I thought Mike Babcock said it well. It's one thing to say you're okay about it in June. It's another thing when camp hits. So a lot of time to wait until then, but it's definitely a new era, and one that definitely feels different in Edmonton.
And I also think that the first blush was mentioned by Bob right after the season. Most people were focused on Bruce Cassidy at that time. And then we land, on a strong possibility of Babcock. League does the review. And even with that, word that the leadership group had talked to Babcock, Connor McDavid comes out and talks about what, they're looking for as a group. They want to be pushed. He said, it's been a long time. since that had happened, and you marry that quote with the one about we keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results, and I think you have at least one of the reasons why we are here. They want to be pushed by Mike Babcock, and that's going to happen because that's what Mike Babcock does. But they seem as though they've girded their loins and they're ready for this.
It seems that way. And I mean, like Connor's answers, and I know he spoke to Speck and he spoke to Ryan Rashog and gave them the same thing. It seems like the players were ready for a change. The only thing I wonder, and I'm curious, just, as you get older, you kind of handle things the same way. The interesting thing to me is they have had a coach that pushed them before. And, Ken Hitchcock was notorious for pushing players. That wasn't that long ago, but we are talking about younger men at that point, and they've matured and they've got married and all those things, and maybe things have changed. And that is indeed the response they want. But the other angle is, and it's objectively true because the numbers suggest what the numbers are, the most success the Oilers have had in this McDavid era has been with two players coaches in Jay Woodcroft and Chris Knobloch. That's objectively true. So I'm hopeful that the harder coach, the detailed guy, the one who will park a Connor McDavid on the bench if he messes up, or a Leon Draisaitl on the bench, I hope that's that extra quarter turn that the team needs to really get over the hump and get the goals that these guys are talking about and that we've talked about for so long. But I also, I'm an Oilers fan, and we're all elephants, aren't we? And it's hard to forget sometimes that, hey, this isn't the first hard coach they've had. The last one was here, and he was a legend, and he was a local guy, and, that one didn't work out either. So we'll see.
Bag Milk, our guest from Oilers Nation on Sports 1440 and the Lowdown with Lowetide. We're also on YouTube. From the group, I've asked you this before, but from the group, now that Babcock is the coach, from the group that we have on the roster now, can you identify anybody who's maybe going to benefit based on their style of play and what we know about Babcock and his possession aggression? Is there a player that you say, okay, well, this person fits well and may increase their role?
As you were thinking, I wonder about a guy, and he's on everybody's mind because he signed for 7 more years, was Trent Frederick. He signed his deal. It didn't work out well. He got hurt before the playoffs, signed a big ticket last season. We don't need to rehash it. We all know how it went. I wonder if a guy like that could really benefit from a fresh start, in the sense that there was clearly something not working between he and Knobloch, or however that worked. You and I aren't in the room. But I wonder if a guy like that, who had just such a disastrous start to his tenure here on that monster deal, is a guy who would look at this as a fresh start and be like, okay, Mike Babcock knows about what happened last year. He doesn't know the why, maybe. And maybe a guy like that can get a fresh start and actually be more of the player that we wanted, the guy who was scoring 17 goals with the Bruins a handful of years ago. So I wonder about him. But I also wonder about the flip side, because there's going to be some, we heard the Steve Yzerman analogy, and, I wish there was lines on it because I would have bet the farm on that one coming out. But I also wonder about some of the skilled guys and how that's going to look. Not necessarily Connor and Leon. They're always going to get their points. But what about a guy like Bush? He is one of the best offensive defensemen in the league. I don't think anybody can argue that. He ran away with the scoring race amongst defensemen last year. But he does also have some of those tendencies where a big mistake happens. Maybe it's a missed assignment. Maybe it's a detail that he could have cleaned up, or a read that he didn't make well. But that's part of Booth, right? You get the benefit, and sometimes it doesn't work out. He's another guy that I also wonder, what is this tighter attention to detail going to mean? Are we going to see moments where, early in the season, if there's something that doesn't go well for Evan Bouchard, where he gets parked? So I'm very curious to see how this works out, because accountability and wanting accountability is great, and I believe in it, and I think it's true. But it's one thing to say you want it, and it's another thing to kind of walk that pier towards the lake, So we'll see what happens. But I think there are some players that are going to have very interesting years with this guy behind the bench.
You talk to folks and hear things. Do you think we're close on Darnell Nurse or any deal? I mean, the fans are getting a little bit restless. They see other teams making big, massive moves, and would like to see their team do something.
Oh man, would I love to see some. There's some of these trades out. Like we are getting some big moves here. So I'm hopeful that we get a trade that works. I guess I'm going to say it that way, because I am not one of the people who thinks that the Oilers are automatically better by removing Darnell Nurse from the lineup. I just don't believe that. Yes, we can talk about the contract. Yes, you think it's too much. Yes, you would have signed it too. But I also think we're really underestimating how important he was to the group, and how missing only 18 games in the last 8 years really is meaningful. The best ability is availability, and he was always around. So I'm excited about the trade because, like you said a little bit earlier, the chaos is fun. Even if I park my fandom and my feelings for a minute, but the chaos is fun. So I'm looking for it from that side. But I also need the Oilers to win a trade here, and it's going to be very interesting to see, because sometimes, dancing with the devil, is a little bit better. Sometimes the grass isn't always greener.
With the Nurse trade, we think inevitable, but as you say, it might not happen. They got their right D. They got their third line center. They don't have a goalie. But do you still think it's like goaltender and then, maybe a scoring winger, and then obviously if they trade Nurse, they need a lefty blue?
Yeah, I think that's 100%. And I even saw, cruising around Twitter before we jumped on today, X. I saw that Connor Ingram is reportedly interested in coming back. Who knows where the Oilers' thoughts are on that, or who knows if they think there's an upgrade on Connor Ingram. But I think that he did really well when given the net, and I thought he did everything the Oilers expected from him. And there was plenty of gaps in front of him defensively. We all know that. So I'd be interested to see how that plays out. Like, how comfortable would Stan Bowman be bringing back the same tandem for next year? We know it kind of went sideways a little bit, but if Mike Babcock can come in and tighten up the details in front of those guys, then maybe it's a little bit more serviceable than it was a year ago. But these are all questions. But to answer your question specifically, I still think it's a goalie. And then, if we're going to go out and get a forward, I really wish, and this is, of course, me just wishing to nobody except you, I really wish the Oilers would avoid, as best they can, trying to find that guy in the middle. The $3.6 million Andrew Mangiapane, the $4 million Victor Arvidsson, the 3 point whatever it was, Jeff Skinner. I would love for them to go and try and land a big, legitimate fish for the top six, where proven track record of scoring, producing offense. I don't know if that's a trade. I don't know that there's many people available in free agency with guys getting checked off the list already. But I think I would go goalie, and I would go a real impact forward. Not a guy we hope could be an impact forward. Not a guy who had a great season, 4 or 5 years ago, like we got with Mangiapane when he left the Flames. A legitimate forward. And then, to your point, if Darnell Nurse gets traded, you got to fill that hole too. So goalie, forward, defense.
So Bagged Milk says Tom Wilson's getting traded to the Edmonton Oilers. That's what I'm going with.
Oh, if we're talking about chaos today on this call, Al, I would love some of what Tom Wilson brings to the table. He's big, he's tough, he can score, he doesn't shy away from physicality. Now, you got to put a leash on the dog sometimes. I think you probably do, but man, that would be fun.
Yeah, it would be very interesting. All right, how is our friend Frank?
Well, Frank is doing well. I've got him watching the World Cup now that we're through to the round of 32. He's very, very happy Canada got through. Little upset, though, that they had to leave Canada for finishing second in the group. So he's enjoying the World Cup. He's enjoying that it's not raining for 15 minutes at least. And he's living his best life right now.
Beautiful. I love it. All right. Thanks for this. Appreciate it. You have a great week. We'll talk to you. I'm sure there'll be lots to talk about next week at this time.
Absolutely. Chat soon now.
There you go. Yeah, the story around Edmonton, the Oilers today is McDavid saying, our coaching staff is elite. Babcock brings something we've never had in Edmonton. I mean, during his time, Glenn say there was what is the book? Messier. One of the books that are called Messier. There's I don't know if Zosky's book has it, but there's a fascinating moment early on in the glory days of the Oilers where Sather is just raining down verbal blows, and Messier stands up to him, and he just becomes very emotional and pushes back. And many in the organization pointed to that moment as being very important. They hadn't won a Stanley Cup yet. It was a couple of years before they would, but it was a big moment. So a lot of times in life, these pressure points that are brought to bear, what comes out of them is often represents or referred to as the turning point, the big moment the moment where everybody galvanized and pushed to the finish line. I mean, sometimes it's a song. Laura Branigan's Gloria was given credit, amazing amount of credit, by the St. Louis Blues for their Stanley Cup run. But that's what this team is looking for. And it's unorthodox. It's unusual. But they own it. They've taken ownership of it. And so we'll see how it goes. It is, I will tell you, it is not the textbook move for a team in this kind of situation. That said, if it works, then who cares? And that's, I think, how the Oilers feel, and that's how they're counting on you feeling as we go towards the fall and everybody going down to that beautiful rink to watch what an amazing team they are. Acquiring Jari really painted the Oilers into a corner from Avro Arrow. It did, but I think you've got to see how this plays out. He was injured. He wasn't 100%. The last game he played better. I think they, whoever they bring in, Jari will be, I believe, part of the team. And you've got a full season to see what he can do. Hopefully a healthy season to see what he can do. Stan Moman has to have the courage of his convictions. That was the guy he chose to be the goaltender in Edmonton. And so now, because you just pay a huge price, that trade was not, it cost them a lot, So just because it doesn't look popular today doesn't mean it won't work, and doesn't mean you should abandon ship. The Oilers have spent so much money in cap and in assets to try to get the goaltending solved, and maybe they did somewhere along the line. They had the guy that Carolina took on waivers. I don't remember the name right now because the goalies are a blur. But they had people, they had guys. And they moved along. I think part of it is the goaltending is voodoo. And, who was the Stanley Cup winning goaltender of record?
Right now, it's Brandon Bussey.
And how was he acquired?
That trade, I assume. It's
waivers.
Waivers. Oh, shout out. Carolina.
That's what I'm saying, though. All summer, we're like, a big goalie. Well, Carolina just won with a guy that, they got on waivers. Jari, the guy that Edmonton brought in, was on waivers. People say, guy was on waivers. Okay. It's goaltender. It's like pitching in baseball. Harry can't throw to home plate. His arm's all beat up. Harry goes on vacation, comes back, and wins 20 games. Pitches a no-hitter, and Declan says no-hitter during the no-hitter, and he still pitches a no-hitter. That's how good Harry could be.
I'm with the texter, by the way. Bullpen no-hitter, not near.
Of course you are.
What makes it impressive is going the full nine.
That so rarely happens now. Any no-hitter has value. It does.
Yeah.
And you blew it.
Well, listen, it's a bullpen game. I don't even care anymore.
You didn't even know what the rule 10 minutes ago. Now you're making up your own rules.
Yep. Correct.
We got to get this guy his own show. I mean, he's ready. Okay.
He didn't say you were wrong. He just said, I don't care. That tells me he is ready.
That's a good point. All right. Jeff Hamilton, Winnipeg Free Press on the way. We're going to talk about big football game. The Elks are 2-0. Winnipeg's looking better than Declan thought. So we'll talk about that with Jeff Hamilton from Winnipeg Free Press on the way. Lowdown with Lowetide brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick.
Our new
The doors, not really been able to get in the game at all. Now he does. Oh my goodness! What's it all?
If that goal is shown, and it is, South Africa trying to find a way forward. It's fallen once again to Maseko. Simon Sticks. Chance after chance after chance. And now
Didn't come off the bench. I think it was about the hour mark, just before the hour mark. Makes you wonder why he didn't start. Ball over the top towards Saliba. Saliba bringing it down. Across it goes for Promise David. Immediate impact from Promise David, and Canada get one back. What a journey it has.
Here's the lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
It's 121. This is the Lowdown on Sports 1440. We're brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. Check them out at wolfgmcbuick.com. Next two segments are Canadian Football League. Big game tonight. Elks in Winnipeg to play the Blue Bombers. We are now joined by Jeff Hamilton from Winnipeg Free Press. Thanks for dropping by. We appreciate it. Big game tonight in Winnipeg.
Lowetide, my friend. Big game indeed. It is, and I think it's made extra exciting, if you will, because the Elks, look at the Elks here, finally coming off to a good start. So, and you got a Winnipeg Blue Bombers outfit that got pretty embarrassed at their home opener. And anyone who's kept track of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers over the last X amount of years, at least under Mike O'Shea, don't lose a lot at home. So coming off the bye week, it should be a good one for sure.
It should. O'Shea is amazing. I looked up his record, 118 and 78, and that includes a couple of poor seasons to start. But like he has just been money, and what a legacy he will leave in Winnipeg. That organization has benefited from him arriving there and obviously having a great impact over many years.
Yeah, massively. And it started off slow. It was 12-24 through the first two seasons, and people were calling for his head and telling him that this guy isn't meant to be a head coach, and he doesn't do the things the right way. He does them his way. Well, he continued to do it his way, put together a pretty good core group of leaders in the locker room, stay out of the locker room, and kind of let it flourish. The other thing about Mike O'Shea, and he deserves a ton of credit, of course, but he's also been a guy who's smart enough to put smart people around him. And so I think, whether that's, offensive coordinators, Richie Hall, then Jordan Younger, he's had Paul LaPolice, Buck Pierce, Tommy Condell now, but he's been around some pretty successful people himself. And the other thing I'll say to him, and this isn't a takeaway, because it is all a Mike O'Shea culture. Like, he is the one that sets the bar, but he's a guy that is just a head coach. He doesn't have to be an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, a GM, so he can kind of stay focused on that culture and what's been so important to the Bombers' success.
It's going to be an interesting game because the two quarterbacks are like 100 years old each. So Collaros and Fajardo, great careers, both. And if you watch both of them, you can tell that, the peak seasons are behind. But what I love about veteran quarterbacks, especially in the CFL, is they know how to get it done. Even if they're, they come out and they don't have one or two things that they ordinarily could use, they'll find a way to make it work.
I think what you're describing is a gamer, and both of those guys are gamers. And, and it's funny too, because I think if you look at the, quarterbacks across the league, maybe you leave Jake Mayer out of the situation, you probably have the two quarterbacks with the biggest chips on their shoulders. Everybody, Cody's, I don't even think he's tired. At this point, he's probably loves how much people, rule him out for things or don't believe in him or doesn't think he can be the guy to get the job done. And, while Zach, certainly we wouldn't be having this conversation a few years ago, particularly when he went back to back, as league MOP, but he's heard more criticism than positive stuff over the last couple of years, particularly last year. So, it's an interesting point you make, Lowetide, about the just the players, right? Like the quarterbacks and the aging quarterbacks. I think a guy like Zach Collaros looks at what Trevor Harris is doing right now, looks at what Bo Levi Mitchell is doing right now, and while he might have been year to year before and still might be, I think some of those older guys are looking at what the other older guys are doing and saying, hey, maybe I'm not too old to excel in this league.
Our guest, Jeff Hamilton, Winnipeg Free Press on Sports 1440 in the Lowdown with Lowetide. I'm a big CFL fan, and I love the running game. We got two great ones in this one. And Rankin has been honest to God, he has been such a show so far. But Winnipeg looks pretty good in the backfield too. And so this should be a lot of 2nd and 5s or 2nd and 4s tonight, I think.
You gotta love Justin Rankin. Like, not only is he just a really skilled player, but he's calling his shot. Like, I mean, prior to the season, he talked about wanting to be the only, player with 1,000 rushing and 1,000 receiving. And here he is, through a handful of games, and he's on the pace, or at least close. So he's been nothing but, exciting. I know fantasy football is not something you want to talk, but super happy he's on my team. But yeah, this is going to be a tough test for the Bombers. There's a bit of a chip on that defense's shoulder too. They got eaten alive by Hamilton in their last game. I mentioned they have this bye week, so they're expecting to get things right. But they're watching extra tape on Justin Rankin and having to stop him, knowing how dangerous he is, even after contact, and the potential he has to burst for 40 plus 80-yard touchdowns. So that's something they're certainly going to be high on. Though I will say this, they do have this is a defense that for the last 5 years has allowed the fewest points, and they haven't really allowed many running backs to eclipse 100 yards in a game. The reality is the last one that did it was Justin Rankin. So this is going to be a guy that they know is going to be a problem, and I think that's the beauty of Rankin. Like, he knows he's going to be a problem for other teams. He doesn't care. He'll find a way to make an impact, and with Cody Fajardo running the offense, he will.
The perception of the Elks this year entering the season was, they just have to have a better start. The starts have been dreadful since they became the Elks and even before then. But, it's just been a mixed bag. They can never get off to a good start. And they're just obliterated by the halfway point of the season. So the perception is that they're doing well. Winnipeg, my feeling towards them was this is a great roster. There are so many players that you can go, like Dembski is one of my favorite players, has been forever. Oliveira, you mentioned, obviously, at quarterback, they're legendary. They're great players on this team, but they're also a little bit older. I think there's 5 guys who played over 100 games in the league, and that age is not a friend for football teams. Is this, in your opinion, for some of these guys, maybe the last big chance, or do you think this is a team that is starting to be a little bit less than it has been?
So it's a great question. So I feel like it's because it's the CFL. If we were talking probably about any other league, I'd say maybe they're looking at that place where they're taking a step back. I bring up CFL because you just can't make the type of moves at free agency like you can in Winnipeg. And I'll take us back to the winner here in free agency, and the Bombers for years wouldn't pick anybody up. As someone who covered the team, like this would come around and they'd make, the big, obviously first day would come and go, and then they'd pick, you'd hear kind of some things, and maybe they'd pick up a few complementary pieces. It was after everybody started picking through the bin. Well, obviously this year was much different. They lock up Jake Serezna, a guy that, Edmonton knows well. He had 3 sacks in his first game. They grabbed Tim White, who, we know he had some slippery fingers a couple of years ago in Hamilton, but he's arguably in his prime, coming off 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons. Daryl Broxton to play right, to play on the end on the right side opposite Stanley Bryant. Like, those were big ticket pieces. And so, like, I feel, to answer the question, I feel like the couple years, it was about 2 years ago, we saw Jamarcus Hardrick leave. We saw a handful of guys kind of go through the door, and we've seen that kind of in the years since. Adam Bighill, obviously a massive piece of the puzzle. He's gone, replaced by a younger Tony Jones. So they've kind of been retooling a little bit. To answer your question, though, I think it's not so much where they're at. I think the guys who were part of those dynasty years, if you want to class, or the Grey Cup years, we'll classify them as, there's only a handful of them left. And I think they're kind of getting to a point. I almost felt like this past offseason, Jake Thomas, for instance, longest tenured Bomber, he's now the D-line coach, right? He finished up last year. So I do think it's an interesting group, but at the same time, I do think they're a bit new, and I do think with the new additions, they'll be fighting for the West. I just don't have the answer because I don't know what they're going to be like this year. But I do think they have taken a step forward from last year, but maybe a step back from the previous years, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, for sure. And, we're seeing, players who've been there a little bit, kneeled, others who are maybe emerging or breaking out, and it's a small sample, so we do want to get ahead of ourselves. But this is a team that the time is right for maybe new names, even if they've been there for a year or so previous to this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Drew Brown's a prime example of that, bringing him back into the fold. I thought that was a great trade for them. I mean, as much as that might have some kind of something into the future, right? We'll see what happens with Taylor Elgersma, who the Bombers are high on, but is super young and raw. Maybe Drew Brown's the quarterback of the future. Maybe Zach Collaros is the quarterback of the future still. But for the moment right now, like, bringing a guy like that, I just use him as an example because he's the guy who's taking a back step, right? It's that culture that, he knew he was coming here and being behind Zach Collaros. It's that culture here that allows players to, while their roles might not be as big compared to previous years, they all know their roles are important, because that is a big part of Mike O'Shea. Mike O'Shea doesn't want to have, that's why he doesn't call anyone starters. It's absolutely infuriating as a reporter. But as a, for him and his culture, it's like, this is the culture we have, where you're a starter today, but you're a piece of the puzzle, and everyone's a piece of the puzzle. And that's helped bring in new guys. That's helped keep maybe older guys who are getting less of a role. And of course, those guys who have continued to elevate their roles as younger players. So it's worked well in Winnipeg for sure.
Jeff Hamilton, our guest, Winnipeg Free Press on Sports 1440 and the Lowdown with Lowetide. We're also on YouTube. I want to talk a little bit about Nick Dembski. I remember when he was drafted by Saskatchewan and played very well there, and you kind of always knew he was going to end up back in Winnipeg. And I've always loved watching him play because he's electric, and he makes moves on the field, and it's not like he's, 240 pounds or anything like that, but he is an absolute football player, has been from the moment he arrived through today.
So he doesn't look like Taylor Elgersma, the new quarterback the Bombers drafted this year. This, spent some time with Green Bay. This guy looks like he's sculpted out of ivory or something. Like, he's just granite. Like, this guy is just looks like 7 feet tall and is just chiseled. But ask anybody on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers who the best athlete on the roster is, and they're going to tell you 10 times over it's Nick Dembski. He just has that natural athletic ability. Again, he's not six-pack, he does put the work in the gym. I'm not saying he's got a pot belly or anything. He's not comparing his stomach to the O-line by any stretch of the imagination, but he's just a guy who is just an ultimate athlete. And those athletic gifts and skills that he's harnessed has created major moments in games. It feels like every time Nick touches the ball, it's a big moment, either a big first down or like he's got that over the shoulder catch, make it look so easy, but it's probably the hardest catch you can catch. So Nick is, and he continues to get up there in age, right? It was a while ago that he was playing with the Riders and he was drafted. And here he is as a veteran who, even early in his career, right? He only started putting together those 1,000-yard seasons a couple years ago. He was always kind of a guy who was playing like, probably was your third best receiver. Well, he's elevated his game, and he could be your best receiver on any given night. He's a target that Zach Collaros trusts with everything, and he's earned that trust both through his work ethic, his work in the gym, his attention to detail, and it's obviously extra special for him and for the city that he's from here in Winnipeg. I think a lot of people were, rooting him on a little bit when he went to the Riders, and I remember taking that call in Winnipeg and him talking about he's in green now. He's been a rabid blue and gold guy and a major ambassador for the team and the community. So Nick, nothing but positive things to say about Nick for sure.
Final one, and I remember an era where this Winnipeg Blue Bombers team had everything but a quarterback, and they just couldn't get there. And they're like, okay, well, we got a better quarterback this year, and it wouldn't work out. And it obviously evolved, and they got back to the championship. They won the championship. They became a legendary team. But I feel like Winnipeg Blue Bomber fans, and there are many in our city, have just enjoyed the hell out of this because it felt like when did Poplawski win? 84? I can't remember what year it was.
84. They won 84, 88, and 90.
Right. And it felt like after that, it was like, after 90, it was like forever ago. But everybody I know who's a Blue Bomber fan has just enjoyed the hell out of the O'Shea era. And I wonder if it's just continuing now or people are like, they don't like the Prairie teams to do well if Winnipeg can't win. Is there a desire to get back there and win again?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I think, Wade Miller, president and CEO of the Bombers, he knows how important it is to have a competitive team on the field. You mentioned those lean years, right? They went from Drew Willie to Matt Nichols, and they made Matt Nichols like a respected quarterback in the league. But then they got Zach Collaros in 2019, and the rest is history, right? And there's an interesting nugget there. There was actually some debate on whether they should even trade for him. Well, thank goodness that they did, and thank goodness that Jim Popp, I think, was gone by that point and allowed for them to actually do this. But to your point and to your question about the community here, it's really interesting. I think a lot of people, kind of like the Hamilton Tiger Cats a little bit now. Like, I have a little bit of, I don't want to say sympathy and for those fans, but like, they have the longest Grey Cup drought. Winnipeg was holding on to that longest Grey Cup drought forever. I was writing stories every year about extending the Grey Cup drought. I would talk to Joe Popp and those teams back in the day and other teams and talk about like the glory days. And then all of a sudden they started winning, and then they won back to back. But in around that time, they went from like, okay, I'm not saying everyone was cheering on Winnipeg while they were winning championships, but they kind of like, okay, it's a little bit of a change from Calgary, who had dominated the previous decade. Now Winnipeg's the enemy everywhere else in Canada, and everybody here in Winnipeg and their fans spread out throughout the country are probably a bit fat. You know what I mean? Like they've been like they've turned that whole, great work, this is awesome, just want a hardworking team, to its championship or bust every year. And I think that's created, I'll end on this, it's created, and I've talked to players about this before, where winning doesn't even feel good anymore. It feels relieving because they're expected to win. Like, that's the pressure that is held in that locker room. And that's built out obviously on their own expectations, but especially a fan base who has seen this team get to the dance 5 years in a row. And it's just like, those last 25, 30 years be damned. This is the new expectation. So it's been pretty nice time. It's been a nice time, even with last year ending the way it did, for a Winnipeg Blue Bombers fan for sure.
Listen, I enjoyed this. It's been too long. Thank you, Jeff Hamilton. Appreciate it. Absolutely. Anytime. Take care. Thanks, guys. There you go. Jeff Hamilton, Winnipeg Free Press, talking about the game. Do you have a prediction, or maybe that's coming up in the next segment, Declan?
Yeah, I can work it into the next segment. I feel bad picking against the Elks with this run of form they're on, but this is just such a spot. You're playing in Winnipeg, toughest place to play. They're off a bye, and you had a short week.
And they're also a little angry about the last game.
Yeah, it's just a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's fair. Well, you have to, you can't just pick them every week, because that wouldn't make you as credible as you clearly are.
Objectivity, Mr. Objective.
That's you.
That's me.
In this one single area. All right. On the way, it's Declinations. This is the Lowdown with Lowetide, brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick.
You're getting the Lowdown on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick.
Guys, there never seems to be enough time in the day, but you need to make time for this. Ken Franchek here. If you're 40 or over, a quick PSA blood test is crucial for early prostate cancer detection. The Prostate Cancer Center's Man Van is a mobile health clinic driving change for men's health. A few minutes could save your life. To get the Man Van out to your business or event, book today at getcheck.ca.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique, family-owned, independent liquor store. The selection, incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
Expand your brand with Fusion Promo Marketing. Fusion is your trusted partner for all things branded merch and apparel. Thousands of products perfect for businesses, sports teams, and corporate events. Fusion with a Z. Promomarketing.ca.
Do you have neck or back pain? Ever go for treatment hoping for a simple fix only to realize your stubborn spine is basically a science project with attitude? Hey, we get it. And honestly, we're a little sorry because great rehab does take proper experimenting. But at Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we don't just toss exercises into the beaker and hope it doesn't explode. We start with the right diagnosis, then mix hands-on care, precise manual therapy, and evidence-based technology. The formula your body actually needs. Science and skill with gratitude, not attitude. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
It's finally time to escape your four walls and see where your four wheels can take you. Sherwood Honda helps you head out on the road the way you want to, with the right vehicle, including freedom-seeking SUVs that give you the versatility to drive where, when, and how you want to. It sure would do some good to get out and stretch your horizons, and sure would be easier with Sherwood Honda.
Tired of the rough ride? Alberta used to be a leader in highway planning and construction, but years of neglect and cuts to maintenance are showing. You can see it, and your vehicle is feeling it. Infrastructure can last for years with a little TLC, but when repairs are deferred, minor issues become major reconstruction. We need action and a reliable capital plan. Contact your MLA and demand stable infrastructure funding. Find out how at fixourroads.com.
A message from the Alberta Road Builders and Heavy Construction Association.
Here's the Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
Down on Sports 1440 for Wolf GMC Buick. 142. Great song. Great song, great version. Who is that?
That was Whitney and the DJ.
That's outstanding.
It was great stuff.
The
Nothing
original
wrong
was
with a
great,
little
too.
EDM to get the blood flowing.
Yeah, and Steve Winwood and then Chaka Khan singing on that album, that song too. Good stuff.
People
really
love
good choice.
People love remaking Steve Winwood songs. Like Valerie got remade.
So good.
Higher Love. Yeah.
Arc of a Diver. He's so good. All right, it's time for Declinations, brought to you by the Edmonton Elks. The Edmonton Elks' next home game is Thursday, July 9th. Come see the explosive player in the CFL, the most explosive player, Justin Rankin, Lock in your tickets at goelks.com/tickets. And Elks we talk about is they're on the road to Winnipeg tonight.
And boy, is he the most explosive player in the CFL. 281 rushing yards through 2 games, 145 yards receiving through 2 games. Jason's been tracking the stats on what he'll need to average to get to 1,000. I think it's well within his range. The one thing I worry about, because I really do think it's a small sample size, it's 2 games, but he does seem pretty inevitable in the running game. The one thing I worry about with getting to that 1,000 receiving yards threshold is that teams will really start to, like, in sets where teams run a QB spy, they'll essentially run a spy for him as the hot read because you just can't give him momentum out of like a swing pass to get going. So that would be one thing I would worry about, maybe putting a hitch in his 1,000 plans, but he is inevitable.
Let me just ask you about him as a running back. What makes him special?
Like, it's an easy answer, kind of a cliche answer, but I would say his ability to make something out of nothing. And I think you hear that a lot when you talk about good running backs, but not always, because sometimes a running back just hits the hole really hard and he comes with his shoulders and his head down. He has a low center of gravity. As we know in football, the low man wins, and it's tough to get him at the initial point of contact. He'll bounce off that. He'll bounce forward. Dedrick Mills is very good at that, Calgary's running back. But I think with him, his ability to just always make, like, in the game last week against Montreal, there were like 4 plays where he should have been dead stop for a 3-yard loss, and he just keeps the legs turning. He doesn't panic. He goes east to west very efficiently, and he just makes something out of nothing. Like, again, it's kind of a boring cliche answer, but that really is his best ability.
No, I like that. This is a great explanation. It's not like Cornish, right? Or he's not like that guy. But he just gets the job done, and he's so consistent, you know.
And I think he has a really good mix as well, because I think generally running backs, and not always, but generally running backs fall into 2 categories, and this is often why you'll see like 2 on a roster. You have your east-west backs, who you put in like stretch play situations that go side to side, run outside the tackles, and you have your north-south backs who hit the A gap and HB dives and they run between the tackles. But Justin Rankin can really do both, and I don't want to say it's like an unbelievably unique quality, like we've never seen this, like it's Shohei or Wemby or something, because that's not the case. But it is something that you generally get categorized into one of the 2, and he seems to have both.
Yeah. Good stuff. Anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, this was perfect. I'm glad, because I feel like I've talked about it a good little bit. If I had to put an official prediction on this one, maybe we'll start. I think I would take the Elks to lose a close game. And I think they're going to have a lot of stretches where they play better than Winnipeg. And I think they're actually going to, because in that Montreal game, the first quarter especially, and when Montreal was making their run in the 4th, like there were points in the game, you could say it was a decently even 50-50 split where Montreal looked like the better team and where Edmonton looked like the better team. I think in this game, for a large majority of the game, Edmonton is going to look like the better team. I think offense is going to be firing within the realm of what they want to be doing. But I just think as the game gets going, and if it's a close game, that crowd is really going to affect. Like, you cannot underestimate that Winnipeg home crowd. Like, it is like,
it's a tough place.
Yeah, Saskatchewan would be the only other comparable in the CFL. And as much as I like to push Saskatchewan being the toughest place to play, every player I've talked to has said it's Winnipeg. So you can't underestimate that home crowd. Mike O'Shea is a master game planner. This is a veteran-laden team full of guys who know how to win close games. I just think it will come down to something late, and Winnipeg being a little bit fresher, having the week off, having extra prep time. I think they probably come away with a close game late, like 29, 26, 30, 27, somewhere in that realm. But I still think it's a game Elks fans will take a lot of positives from, because I think they'll point to a lot of things and say, listen, we were the better team in a lot of areas, just didn't go all the way in reference to the final scoreboard.
How do you feel, no matter whether they win or lose, how much different does the West look so far to what you thought it might look like?
Yeah, great. I mean, I thought Saskatchewan would take a step back, like a legitimate step back. They got absolutely hemorrhaged in free agency. And as much as I like Trevor Harris, like he just won my team a Grey Cup. He is, 40, and he's I don't want to call him a one-trick pony, but like accurate passer who needs his 3 seconds in the pocket. You know what I mean? Like that's who Trevor Harris is. They got hemmed in free agency, like I said. They've looked good. They've really impressed me. BC, they've been so injured But like that Hamilton game, I know the final score was kind of close-ish, 41-20. Like that game was not close. They scored 2 touchdowns late. They haven't looked good. Calgary, I don't really know what to make of them yet. And then Winnipeg, kind of where I thought they'd be, as well as Edmonton. Like I thought Edmonton was going to start their first 5 games 4-1. I thought they were going to be a good team. So it's definitely a bit different of a picture just with what BC's doing. But there are, and with what Saskatchewan's doing as well, I should say. But there's definitely some things that have fallen into place as I saw it through 3 weeks in the CFL.
And the East is the strength is there and the weakness is there too.
Yeah, Hamilton and Montreal just I think better than everyone else. Ottawa looking like the worst team in the league. They obviously just traded Drew Brown over to Winnipeg. Toronto's a funny one because Toronto is like, you can pencil them in. They're going to win 41-40 or they're going to lose 41-40.
Yeah.
Like Chad Kelly's going to, I think he has 7 touchdowns and 5 picks on the season. I would have to pull up the numbers exactly. But he's a guy who's like, you will get your 400 yards passing, you will get your 3 touchdowns, and you will get your 3 interceptions. It's a little Jameis Winston-esque so far, but they're a team that if games get into a shootout situation, they can compete with anybody.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good.
And the game is tonight. So get excited.
There has not been a good. I watched portions of all of them. There are some that have been like, the fourth quarter is like, okay, well, let's talk about next week.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they've been outstanding games, and there hasn't been a true clunker that I've seen yet.
No, like the only one really was that Hamilton BC game.
Right.
BC is so beat up, but that'd be the only one. And like when you're into week 4 of the season and there's one marginally bad game you can point to, you're in a good spot as a league.
It's a wonderful league. I love the rules make it the unique league that it is, and I know they've tweaked some, and there are more on the way, but the spirit of it is still there, right? Like it's a blast. You cannot take a bathroom break with 3 minutes or less left.
No, you absolutely, no lead is safe. Yeah, it is. It's the most fun league in the world. I know people have their problems with it. Sorry, I think I'm about to sneeze, but it is so fun.
We're quite the bunch here. We've got, Captain Cough over here, and then we've got Grandpa Sneeze Bee over there, and we got a guy who just tunes out for long periods of time in Josh.
Glass Eyes McGee.
I tune out for a long period as well.
Yeah, but you're working.
Yeah.
Josh is just over there thinking about nothing. All right.
One of the best parts about being a man, I can literally think about nothing.
That's true. We're just staring at a wall. It drives some people crazy.
Oh yeah. I think I've had this conversation with the girlfriend twice already. What do you think about nothing?
Yeah, I know. There's a whole thing on Seinfeld where Elaine breaks up with her boyfriend because he's just staring at the back of the seat, and it drives her crazy.
Yeah, I know, Patrick Warburton.
What's your guys' Roman Empire?
Oh, things that we just like think about often?
Like something you'll just think about randomly and semi-often.
Halo Reach.
Okay.
Steve Rogers pitched to Woody Fryman in 1981, or to Rick Monday in 1981.
I think mine are tribes in the Amazon. I think about those maybe more often than I should.
Yeah. I think about peanut butter a lot.
Big that's a guy answer right there. Peanut butter.
It's so good. I think if you put peanut butter on a shoe, it's definitely edible.
Sure.
Crackers, those like salted crackers.
You seen that video of the guy that dips his knife in the peanut butter and then he has the crackers laid out on like the couch or whatever, and then he flips his knife and he gets both crackers stuck on the peanut butter, and then he just...
Oh, that's a good idea. I thought about that. Honestly, I could probably live a year with just crackers and peanut butter.
I mean, you couldn't. Malnourishment would get you, but I see where you're coming from.
I take that as a challenge, sir.
All right. Karen, if you're listening...
She'll go, I'm not surprised.
Start arranging the flowers now.
All right. Babs had Lidstrom. Who's more like Lidstrom or has the ability to be almost Lidstrom light? Bouchard, Sider, Ekholm, Nurse. I don't know why Sider was in there. I wonder if Babs wouldn't prefer a more a defensive option over Bouchard. It's a great question, perplexed Oilers fan. One of the things we have to watch is how this team morphs under Mike Babcock. Because there's a lot of things that are just questions that we haven't thought to ask yet because we don't know what the roster looks like. One of the reasons Connor Murphy was deemed to be valuable enough to sign was that he played well with Darnell Nurse. He was going. So Wallman with Murphy is probably going to be the second pair, and I like it fine. But Wallman is hurt a lot, and Babcock will want players who are available. So that left side of the defense, once Nurse leaves, is going to be very interesting. I love Ekholm. He had another great year, but he's 36, I believe. So at some point in time, you're going to need like a left defenseman who can play big minutes if you trade Darnell Nurse now. Wallman and Ekholm have injury issues. I like Spencer Stastny, but he's a defense first kind of guy. Is that what Mike Babcock wants with Emberson or with Connor Murphy? We're thinking about the roster the way it looked when Chris Knobloch was there. We do not know what it'll look like with Mike Babcock. Colton Dock may end up playing minutes, in the middle six that you didn't expect him to. And now that Jason Dickinson is signed, I'm assuming Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is either second line center when McDavid Draisaitl are playing together, or second line or third line left winger when Draisaitl and McDavid are playing up the middle. So where does that put half of the time Ike Howard? These are questions we should be asking, but your point is well taken, perplexed. We just don't know. All right. We are on our way out the door. Jason Krueger straight ahead. Thanks so much for tuning into the Lowdown today. I knew I would. I enjoyed it very much. Please enjoy your day. We're back tomorrow at high noon.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Brought to you by Sean Cunningham of Remax Real Estate. For your next move in the Edmonton or area, you can call or text Sean directly and get the home team advantage at 780-865-2165. I'm in the FIFA World Cup. Games about to kick off between Curacao and the Ivory Coast, and Ecuador and Germany. Japan, Sweden, and Tunisia, Netherlands will be up at 5. Paraguay, Australia, and Turkey and the United States at 8. MLB action right now sees the A's and the Giants tied 0-0 in the bottom of the first two. Finals from earlier saw the Rays over the Royals 13-2 and the Pirates over the Mariners 5-1. The Jays will be in action at 5:07 playing host to the Rangers. Kevin Gossman on the mound, and you can hear that one at the conclusion of the Jason Krueger Show right here on Sports 1440 AM feed only. CFL Week 4 gets going tonight with Edmonton in Winnipeg, a 6:30 kickoff as the Edmonton Elks look to extend their record to a perfect 3-0 to start the season. I'm Declan Krueger. This has been a Sports